Welcome back.
Welcome.
This is what, week three? Week two,
No,
week
it was
two.
just like
This is week two.
two,
Yeah, you're right. This is week two
or
of,
technically week one.
yes, yes, because apparently we don't know what day it is. Um, this is tech week one of August, but week two of this theme. Um, what do we call it? Feels like summer?
You came up with that. I don't.
You came up with
Uh,
that.
did I?
Yeah,
I
you
don't know.
did. You came with it last episode. I like it.
Oh,
We're going with it. Okay. So this week is a dark romance. We picked Butcher and Blackbird by Brienne Weaver. Um, it is taking me so long to read this book because I don't know how long have I been saying I was going to read this book.
yeah. I've literally read it multiple times.
Yeah, and I've been saying I'm going to read it and saying I'm going to read it, and I finally did. So here we are. Um, do you want to start with tropes? We just jump right in.
Sure.
Okay. So I have dark. I have
Yeah, I would call this more of like a dark comedy.
I mean, I would definitely say this is dark, but I would say it was a comedy, but I feel like those would be separate. Because like I don't think this is like I don't think the dark comedy implies that it's like the jokes are unhinged, but no, it's just like dark.
No, that's fun. It's funny. What are you talking about?
It is funny, but it's also dark. Um, okay. Friends to lovers.
Yes.
I have pen pals.
I don't know if I would say pen pal.
I mean, they meet once and then just talk for a year via text messages on burner phones.
They don't really talk that much though in the first year though.
I mean, I
It, like
guess not.
it's mainly to go over like, oh, you're still on for August, and then this is how we're gonna get the information about August.
I guess, but after that, it's very pen pally. So I still think it's pen pally.
And I think pen pals indicate
Um,
that they like don't see each other. Like,
but they don't really see each other until like the
yeah,
ending.
they do. Yeah, they do. They do.
Once a year for like 3 years.
Okay, well, the
'Cause
first
this
2 years, sure, but then the third year, he comes or she goes to his restaurant and then
and then he stalks her
he
slightly
stalks
after.
her.
Okay. Um, I mean, is serial killers a trope?
I don't know, maybe.
Would you consider that a trope? I feel like it can't be a trope, but also it's a key thing to know about this book.
Um, I wouldn't say it's maybe it's a trope. I don't know. Is there enough of them now at this point that we can call it a trope?
Would you consider this a suspense?
I mean, I guess there's a bit of mystery to it.
I mean, I feel like I'd also say slow burn. I would say this is a slow burn because I don't
But
actually
no,
like
they get together in like what, like the 60% mark.
I I guess
So it's
the
not really
60% mark,
close.
I don't know. I still it felt like there was so much
Yeah,
buildup that it should be a slow burn.
because it's year three that they.
So it should be a slow burn then. It took three
I
years to
mean,
get there.
yeah, but like you skip past year, like you basically skip past year one and two in the first like 40% of the book. You're only like you skip past those sections of time.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know.
I guess Rowan would call it a slow burn, but
Um, okay, trigger warning. And wait, do you have any more tropes to add?
Um, Hero pining.
Yep, yep. He pines hard in this book.
Um, what else? What is like a friendly competition? Is that like a trope? They have like a little contesty
I don't
bet.
know. I don't know what I'd consider that, if that would be a trope. Maybe? Doesn't feel like it would be a trope. I don't know what you would call it. Um, okay. That's all I've got. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Um, Trigger warnings. I mean, if you're worried about trigger warnings, read the front of this book because it does give you the trigger warnings.
Yeah.
Um, and like, I mean, if you're a squeamish person, maybe not for you
Yeah.
because it's like pretty graphic.
I mean, they talk about popping, gouging eyeballs out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would just say read the trigger warnings on this one if you're worried. It doesn't really spoil that much, to be honest. Like I still was like, oh, when it happened. I read the trigger warnings and I still I didn't think it spoiled the book for me personally. Um,
What the accidental cannibalism doesn't spoil the book for you?
I just remember thinking like, how can it be accidental? But yeah, it is accidental
Accidental cannibalism.
and not so accidental, but you know. Um, okay. So rating on this book was a 4.1 on Goodreads with over 250,000 ratings. That's a lot.
It's popular.
This is very popular. Actually, I was looking at both this book, our next book, and the book after all have a lot of ratings. Like they're all very popular.
Well, you did pick two very popular releases, so
I guess that's true. Um, okay. Should I read the back of the book?
sure.
Every serial killer needs a friend. Every game must have a winner. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Sloane and Rowan, the two find something elusive, the friendship of like-minded pitch black souls. From small town West Virginia to upscale New York, from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. Can Rowan and Sloane dig themselves out of a game of graves, or have they finally met their match? I mean,
I
it's
mean, I
pretty
guess
accurate, but it doesn't
it's
really tell you
accurate, but
anything.
it doesn't, yeah, besides the game section of it. But wait, does it tell you that they're serial killers or no?
Yeah, I mean, it says they both like to murder people.
Oh, okay. No.
So they're serial killers who kill other serial killers.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. So, I guess if you're a serial killer, but the best kind of serial killer, um, so Sloane, aka Blackbird, and Rowan, aka Butcher, are two very different killers too. Like Sloane is meticulous and detail oriented and everything is done with a purpose. Whereas Rowan just shows up and beats the shit out of whatever it is he's killing, cleans up, and then leaves. I don't
He's
even know
got
if
a lot
he
of
cleans up or if
rage.
his brother just cleans it up.
I don't, I don't know. Uh, but like most of the time he doesn't do it like I don't know. I don't think his murders require much cleaning.
He just like kills
Because
them and then leaves.
he's just like beating the shit out of them, right? So like,
I guess so. Besides, like, I don't know, his DNA. I thought there'd be a
I
little more
guess.
like cop involvement. I think originally when I first like I was thinking, okay, what can the plot line actually be? And I in my head thought the plot line would be something cop related, like they'd end up like almost getting caught or something. But no, they almost
No.
get killed by another serial killer.
What did they call it? Hazards of the job.
Yeah, something like that for sure. Okay, I'm trying to think of where I want to start. Let's maybe start at the beginning. First of all, the orzo pasta thing in the beginning actually made me gag. I was like, I actually, that's disgusting, and I
But
am
it's
not going to be able to look at orzo ever again.
but it's funny because then he sends her like a meal kit to make orzo pasta.
I know, but it's disgusting. I was like, that is actually so gross. And like, I can picture this in my mind. And that's almost the worst part is that I can picture this. And I will not be having orzo for dinner anytime soon. So there's that. Um, I mean, he falls first is another trope because Rowan is basically obsessed with her from the beginning.
Yeah,
Like, absolutely obsessed.
he is a like even before he like knows, I guess, who she is. He's like already obsessed with the orb weaver
Yeah.
because technically they're like competition.
And he's like instantly like enamored by her. Like he thinks she's like instantly like very insta lusty at the beginning. But then obviously
Yeah,
they become friends and he's just like obsessed with her from the beginning. Like he's like, this is the person that I think I should be with. But she's like flighty and he has
yeah,
to approach carefully or the frightened animal will run away, which happens.
yeah. She's a boulder. I was gonna say that.
Um, I liked Rowan actually. I wasn't quite sure like the dynamic with his brothers was kind of like interesting. And I'm sure you'll get that in the other books. And we'll talk about that because I have a point on that later. But I'm very curious about the other brothers for sure after reading them in this because you really only get a taste. Actually, well, no. I thought that the oldest, wait, yes, oldest.
Lackland's the oldest. Yeah,
I thought that I thought,
Lachlan,
yeah,
Lackland,
Lachlan. I thought that Lachlan was going to be in it less when they went to Alaska to see what's the other brother's name?
Nebraska, not
Oh,
Alaska.
I thought it was Alaska. Where the fuck were they
No,
to begin with?
because they were somewhere a little bit south. Because I'm assuming that like the serial killer they were trying to imitate was like Chainsaw Massacre, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre esque serial killer. So I'm assuming that's supposed to be like a little bit southern.
Oh,
So,
I'm
but
not
also
good at
don't
geography, so
don't quote me on American geography because I could not fucking tell you like what's what. But
yeah.
I think Nebraska is like a Midwest state.
I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to guess.
Because
I'm not.
they drove for at least like 5-ish hours, even
I
more than
I
that.
don't know why I thought his brother was in Alaska the whole time. I clearly just didn't read that right.
No, he's in Nebraska. What circus goes to fucking Alaska?
I don't know. The kind that leaves their injured people behind? Because I didn't think she was in the circus
Uh,
still.
I don't think she was left behind. I think she left.
Anyway, we'll get to that. I have a point about that later. But okay, let's start with the first trip. Peeping
Okay.
Tom guy.
Yeah.
I know we're skipping ahead a little, but that's my favorite scene is when she sees like Rowan in the wall and she's like, "Really?" And he's like, "I swear it wasn't me. Like there was a guy here." And he was like, she's like, "Sure." He's like, "No, really, there was a guy here." That was my favorite scene.
But then he doesn't even end up being the killer anyway, so it doesn't matter. Spoiler alert.
Uh no, he was the killer that they were
No,
after.
no.
Yeah, the peeping Tom was.
He
Oh,
was he
yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
peeping
Okay, wait.
Tom.
You're
He
right.
was just he was just a peeping Tom, but his brother was the killer that they were actually
Yes,
after.
that comes full circle. And I didn't clue that in until it was happening. I was like, "Oh,
I never figured out if he was like the four was the fourth Phantom.
something
I
like
don't think
that."
I don't think that's who they were going for.
I
So
think
I
it
don't know.
was who they were going
No,
for,
I
but
thought
they
the
thought
fourth.
they got it. They thought they
I
got him with the peeper guy, but it
but I
actually
thought
wasn't the
the
peeper guy.
fourth Phantom was supposed to be like the prize, like you win five or like you win the best out of five, and you get to go after the fourth Phantom.
No,
So
I don't think so. I think that was
I
supposed
thought
to
that
be.
was
That's not what I got.
I thought this guy was literally just was just like killing people in this one national park, which is why they thought it was the innkeeper.
I I have no idea. You've just confused me. I didn't think any of that information. I didn't
Oh,
realize it.
well,
I
I
didn't even
am.
realize they're related until you said it just now, and I was like, "Oh,
I
that does
was
make
thinking that.
sense."
Well, you know, he literally says uh in the epilogue that he's gonna take a brother for a brother, right? Like
Oh,
was that just skipped over your head?
no, I thought we were talking about the.
We're still talking about the first one.
Yeah, but I thought that the guy that you were talking about right now was the guy who ended up the he done it guy, the actual guy who did it. Like I thought you were talking about whatever
No,
George. Okay,
no.
well now I'm confused.
He's like she says who he is.
Okay. I'm just
You
very
like
confused now.
did you skim over this book?
No,
Because
I did read it. I just I you just
he
made me
literally
confused.
tells us who whatever George's like serial killer name is.
He tells us what it is, yes. You
But
confused
like
me.
they're not you I don't know how I'm confusing you.
I'm
It
not
was
even sure what we're talking about
pretty
anymore, to be honest.
pretty simple. Okay, fine. Let's go to the next one. The next one was the cannibal, which I really find it really funny that
Yes.
that so like Rowan's entire plan, because obviously Sloane is a planner,
Yeah.
is to just follow Sloane and like then like swoop in when he's able to and take the win.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
he's also doing it just to be close to her. So like when he's following her around, she's like obviously he's trying to get all my secrets when he's really just like, I like to hang out with Sloane. And it would be great if I won.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but that second one really bit him in the ass, and it
He's like
happens
kind
really,
of weirdly golden retriever-y,
yeah, just a golden retriever that you know has been
murdering people.
trained to kill people. You know,
Like that police dog from fucking Good Gone Bad.
yeah.
Um yeah, he was kind of golden retriever-y. 'Cause like, okay, so
Well,
one thing
he did scream middle kid energy.
he
So
did, although they do make fun of that in the um they like do make fun of him for that at some point where she's like, "You really do give middle kid energy." And he's like, "Thanks."
I think it's when he's opening his restaurant up.
Because what case? So the oldest brother is an assassin?
Yeah, he's like a hitman. He's like a gun for hire, and he
Okay.
works for like a company that when they came over from Ireland, that's how he got his first job, and then he kind of like is stuck in the business because he owed he owes the like the guy who quote unquote save them.
I see.
And then
Okay.
the youngest brother's a doctor, which is funny. It's like far right. It's like still like steering like far right.
That's why I'm like, I want to know like
I bet
his
you,
book.
I bet you it's either he's like he has a bit of like Angel of Death vibe,
Ooh, that
or
could be good. That could be good.
she somehow kills people with like the traveling circus, but I don't know. I
Very
feel like
Sibby
he
vibes.
I guess I don't know maybe, but like I'm assuming they're all gonna be serial killer books because like
I mean, I would assume
that's
so.
just
Or like she's the killer. Like that would be what I would assume is that
I
her
don't
that's
think
the killer.
I don't think they're gonna do she's the killer, and I'm not gonna tell you why, simply because I don't want to ruin any.
Is it because you've read this second book?
I've read Leather and Lark, yeah.
I see. I need to read it. Although, I don't know, people have been giving me mixed.
It's definitely like the thing is, it's like I found Butcher and Blackbird like such a high because it was like the banter's great, they're like chemistry's great, and the story makes sense in
Yeah,
terms of like, but like I found Leather and Lark was kind of like I understood Lachlan. Is that how you
Lachlan.
pronounce it? Lachlan. Very Irish. I'm sorry. And Lark getting together of like the older brother and the younger, or and the best friend. But like the big bad of that is like
Not that big bad.
no, it's just like it didn't really make any sense to me. And I think like I mean like we can get into like it's kind of part of this book where it's like we can get into like my least favorite part of like the big bad that we think is
Okay,
going to
wait.
be the big
So
bad
then
is not even the big bad.
let's talk about okay, so let's talk about the cannibal thing because I feel like everyone talks about this scene and like this is the whole like accidental cannibalism, not so accidental cannibalism, the ice cream thing. So
I
basically,
think the ice cream thing is more disgusting than the
also when you realize it's
Rowan.
isn't it his?
It's no, it's his victims, is it not?
I don't remember. I just remember being like, "Oh, lovely." Yeah. Also the fact that it says milked on the label.
Yeah,
Like
no, that's why
that's
I
the
think
part where I'm like,
that's why I think
yikes.
it's the victim that obviously they had been milked before they.
That's disgusting. So basically, it's like she figures out who they're there to murder, and she starts to get this guy to trust her so
Yeah,
that she can murder him. Rowan just shows up like, "Hey, I'm here." And she's like, "You're an idiot. Go. I'm trying to do what we're doing." And he thinks that he's gonna get the upper hand and basically like steal the win from her. He doesn't understand why this guy's a killer though.
he doesn't get like he understands that she realized that he is the
The
bad
guy,
guy,
like he's the
but
target.
he doesn't understand who he is because he doesn't do his own recall. So
Yeah, so he doesn't do his own research at all. So he just assumes I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna steal the guy from under her nose, and then I'm gonna win. But he doesn't do any research. He doesn't realize the reason they're getting him is because he's actually a cannibal and has been killing people and eating them.
yeah,
And he feeds them literally a person,
yeah,
and Rowan eats it.
and Ron eats it, and then he also gets drugged.
Yes, because
So
I'm
then
assuming that's how he takes his
that's how,
victims because he
yeah,
assumes he's going to take them as victims. But
but like he's like halfway chewing when he gets drugged. So
ugh,
she has to scrape the meat out of his mouth.
ew.
Honestly, some people are like, this is a line I didn't know had. I honestly like didn't find the accidental cannibalism that bad. Like obviously it was gross and that's the point. It was supposed to be like gross. But I didn't find it like we literally read a book where she's just like fucking these like imaginary men around a haunted house. So like I
Yeah.
don't think
Although, like, I mean, maybe they're real. You never know.
you mean the I don't think they're real. But I don't think accidental cannibalism is like really that line for me, you know?
I mean, I think the gross parts of this book, like, okay, the ice cream was gross. It was like cum ice cream. It was
Yeah.
ice cream made from semen of somebody that they quote
I
unquote
wonder if
milked.
like
And I
I wonder
think
if they like flavored it at all though. Or
it
is
was
the
cookies and
semen the
cream.
flavor? Yeah, but did they just put cookies in it? Or like did they like
I don't fucking want to know. I don't know. The whole
I'm
thing just
questions.
the thing is that like I have a pretty strong stomach and like I'm goriness is fine, but man, I don't know. This book this like Brienne Weaver is a great writer. It was almost too descriptive because I was like, I no, I'm good. Thanks.
No,
I
I liked it.
it was good, but like maybe I just read it at the wrong time where I was like, I am slightly ew. Because the eyeball thing, although to be fair, I have a thing for eyeballs. That's like everyone has that one thing. Eyes are that thing. Like I can't. I just can't. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people have a thing about eyeballs, and this is why. Like reading her scoop them out, I was like, yep, this is the reason
Because
I have a thing
she
about eyeballs.
plucks them. She plucks them like a lady.
Yeah, well, it's disgusting. I did like, yeah, I think the peeping Tom scene was just really funny. How do you feel? Okay, so they end up with like George. That's what his name is, right?
I think so.
The guy who had the lobotomy. Although he didn't actually have a
Quote
lobotomy.
unquote had the lobotomy. No, he didn't have the lobotomy. So basically, he ran into the killer. I forgot what the actual cannibal's name was,
And they were like
but
killing people
they
together
ran
and
in
eating
and
them.
yeah, and he picked up a pace, but then he realized who Sloane was and like who Rowan was, and then was like, oh, I think I can get these like kill these two because they'd be like the ultimate prize.
Yeah, he was like, this is a fun game.
And so he pretended to be, lobotomized, as one does.
Yeah. And then he goes along with it for so long. That was my thing. Cause I honestly, I'm pretty good at the whole whodunit thing. And I did not see him being the bad guy who just was like faking being lobotomized the whole time and just along for the ride. And then just when you least expect it, just tries to murder them.
Yeah, I don't think I really picked up on that. I thought it was like,
I thought it would be the cops. I assumed that like the cops were gonna catch wind and finally because they talk about her map and they were gonna finally kind of start to figure things out and they were gonna like catch up to them a little too quick and then they're gonna have to throw them off their trail. Like that's what I thought was gonna
no, police.
happen.
We assume in this world police are stupid. No, because I assumed this is just because like I sometimes red herrings just like go right over my head, so I always think things are like smarter than they or like sometimes I think books are smarter than they are, and I'm like, ooh, there's this, and I think it's this. So like when the first one happened, and he was like beating this dude to death, and the guy was like, it's not me, and like I'm not the killer. I was like, oh, the real killer is going to pop back up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's who I thought the big bad was, but it's not. It's
Yeah, it's actually George.
actually George who was just trying to sabotage. He wants to get with Sloane.
But then doesn't? I don't know. It was a weird scene because I couldn't quite tell like what it is he wanted, like whether he actually
No,
wanted
it's
to
like he
like
wanted to like
it was a little rapey.
claim. It was very rapey because he wanted to claim Sloane as like a trophy, basically.
Right. Like
Where
I tamed
Rowan was
her.
just, yeah, and Rowan was just like in the way, so he was like, I'm super fine with killing you.
I don't know. How do you feel about him being the bad guy though? Because that was the thing I was like, I don't know.
I didn't necessarily like I didn't have any issues with it. What I did have the issue with of like the bad guy at the end who gets the like the fucking epilogue, then moving into Leather Lark because I really just wish they were like oh what the fuck is the word? Uh, um, I don't know English today, but it was like separate. Like they're all like connected, obviously, because they're following the brothers.
Oh,
But
but
like
like you're like I didn't need the storyline to
I
continue
didn't need the like big bad like a big bad from the first book to like lead
continue
into
over.
like like I didn't
Yeah, I see
need
what you mean.
something that Sloane and Rowan did in the first book being a cause and effect for the next book. Like I wanted them to like, and that could just because I enjoy standalones far better. And like obviously you can't go into Leather and Lark now without reading Butcher and Blackbird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Then it is a true connected series versus like it's a series of standalones because they're like related because it's about the brothers, but not because of the overarching story. But now the overarching story means you do have to read them in order.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's very true. That is true. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not really one. I don't mind a series. I don't know. I just like maybe this book was like really overhyped for me, like really overhyped, but or maybe it's like a wrong time thing. Like, maybe I should have read this in like September, but I just didn't find it hit as much as I thought it was going to hit.
I love this book. I absolutely devoured it. The first,
I did devour this book, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe I need to reread it or something, like a wrong time. Because it's still a good book. I just like I don't think it hit like I was expecting it to hit. Um, okay, so what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I don't because like when it turned out being George, I was like, oh, okay. Although I was gutted when Rowan sent her away, I was like, no, she's going to just leave. She just goes home and cries. And like literally
yeah,
just goes home and cries.
she calls
Lark.
Lark, and she goes home and cries. Yeah,
And then, I mean, you knew there was going to be something because I was like, there's still too much in this book for there to be nothing. And then when
mm-hmm.
she figures out that Rowan actually like gave her a clue, like a whatever, a secret message, she figures it out, goes back, murders George,
Yeah.
and then calls Lachlan to clean it up.
But I mean, she calls Lachlan before because obviously she suspects it. And she's like, okay, I need to be certain before, you know,
Hey,
I make my move.
on that note, my favorite things is the fact that she puts a camera in the kitchen and he's like, I disabled the cameras. And she's like, no, you didn't, bitch. I put that camera there. It goes to my feed because she just likes to spy on Rowan. She likes to be
Yeah.
able to see what he's doing. Like a suspicious girly. She's just like, fuck it, I want to be able to see what he's doing at any moment in time. So
I
she
mean,
puts her camera in his kitchen.
I'm sure Rowan figured it out though. I'm sure he knew that she had a camera in there.
Because she also put one in the kitchen at their house.
Yeah.
She just like casually installs it while he's at work one day and is like, yeah, I just installed this camera. Like, I'll just be able to see what he's doing at all times.
I love it.
I thought that was really funny. Um, okay. How did you feel about the ending with the like marriage thing?
I mean,
It was like an
I
epilogue without being an epilogue.
I didn't have any issues with it.
I just thought that it would be, I don't know. I like it was an epilogue.
It was an epilogue. You also read the bonus chapter, right?
Where's the bonus chapter?
If you read the physical book, I think they had a bonus chapter of him dressing like a
Oh,
He's either a pirate or a dragon.
yeah, dresses like the dragon. He literally, it's, I figured
And
this
like
was
a
the book,
onesie.
but he's basically he's the dragon from Katie Roberts series, A Dragon's
Yeah, because
Bride. That's what it is.
she was reading it at the the inn
That's right. And he was
when
like, "What are you reading?" And she's like, "Doesn't matter."
dragon dragon horn.
And
That's
he's like,
what
"Well, I want to
horn.
read it." And she's like, "No." Um, I don't know. I liked Sloane. I wish I tried to look for fan art of the tattoo and I couldn't find anything good.
I pictured it kind of just like, do you know the cover? What are the covers of like the one of the Raven Boys books?
Okay.
I'll send
I can kind of
you.
get the sense of what you're trying to say. Because that was like I was like, I want to see this, like I want to picture this tattoo, but I couldn't picture it in my head. And I was trying to find fan art of it, but
I'm trying to picture the tattoo he gets at the end to cover up the skin graft he has to get because that's probably like not an easy tattoo to like
no.
get to cover up like the scarring.
I just like that this whole time he had a fucking tattoo and she was like, this whole time you've been obsessed with me, you didn't say anything.
I mean, I also like that he like framed the picture too. And he was like, I had to frame it in the kitchen, so because like I couldn't bring it with me because it would get like damaged.
Well, and then even like when he saves the booth for her, because at first I was like, I thought that there was something was gonna like I knew that his staff knew about her because I sat her in the booth and she was like, "Oh, this is nice," and she was anticipating to be like somewhere else, have to request a different spot, and I knew that he had said something to his staff, but then he didn't come out, and I was like, "Oh, like maybe not," and then they just forgot to tell him, and then when she like bolts, and then he stalks her for the next like 3 weeks at home
Yeah.
casually. Also, the fact that he's rich. Like,
I mean, his restaurant, but like, he's probably doing very well. Both
I
of
mean,
them
he opened up a
probably.
second one, so I would assume so. I wish the one thing I do wish about is that so you kind of get a sense of like his serial killerness came from like his trauma with his dad, but you don't get like you get hints of hers, but that's about it. Like there's no
Because,
actual.
but
Do you get
hers
it
is
in
not
Lark's book?
you. You get an understanding of what she does, but they don't dwell on it.
But okay, but do they say in Lark's book what like? I mean, obviously you don't you don't really know because it's not said out loud, but you know.
Basically, yeah, they do.
Don't tell
They
me because
do.
I'll read Lark's book, but I'm
Well, they
curious if they do actually explain what it
they
is
do.
that
They
happened.
do explain what happened, but they're like Sloane like stepped up and like protected me, but like
That's
they
it.
didn't. They don't really dwell into yeah. This led off to Sloane and suddenly killing serial killers.
Okay, interesting. Because I kind of wish they told the story.
But it's not her story to tell.
I guess so. Well, but it happens to her too, though.
I mean, she probably tells Rowan, but like I think it's implied that it's not her story to tell us,
I guess
the
so.
audience, right?
I guess so.
Rowan
Because
probably knows, and then I mean,
I guess you do get it in Lark's
it's kind
book.
of like implied too, like given the information, it's kind of implied what happened.
Yeah, like you know without it being explicitly said, but I just like I don't know, I was expecting them to go into it, but they just never really did. I think of the three different trips, the peeping tom trip, the cannibal trip, and the chainsaw trip, my favorite like scene, quote unquote, is probably the cannibalist one. That's just
I really
generally
enjoyed,
funny.
I really enjoyed the third one, but that's just because it kind of just like bled into them finally admitting their feelings for each other. And then her scaring the guy to death with the body of the mother.
I just thought that was so funny. Well, and then he literally just has a heart
He
attack and
like
dies.
he has
And
a heart
she's
attack, and she's like, "Fucking bummer."
this book was actually very funny. I did think this book was really funny. I don't know. Yeah, I really liked Rowan. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure. Did you like Lachlan? I'm a little worried I'm not gonna like Lachlan.
It wasn't Lawson I had the problem with. It was more Lark, but that's
Oh,
just
interesting.
yeah,
Okay. Well, I'm curious now. Okay, so let's go. You gave your favorite part already, didn't you? No, you gave your least favorite part,
yeah.
which
My
was
favorite
the
part, which was the big baddie at the end, leading into the next book. My favorite part, I mean, it's kind of tied between two of like them at the barbecue place for the like their first
oh at the
meeting.
beginning.
Yeah, I really enjoyed their like first meeting in general. Um, but his point of view at the barbecue place when he's like, no bra, no bras, don't look at her tits.
I just also thought it was funny that can you imagine her just being she's been in a cage for 3 days. She's been drinking water, but hasn't had any food. This guy is decomposing next to
Yeah.
her. And she's like, I'm gonna die here. This is gonna be fucking it. And no one's gonna know until Lark decides to check on me and figures out where I am. And then this Irish guy, this good looking Irish guy, just strolls in, like, hey, how's it going? And
And it's
she's
like a
like, who the
dimly
fuck is
lit,
this guy?
it's like a dimly lit basement as well. Like
In
I
the middle of
pictured it
nowhere,
as
wasn't it? Wasn't
the
it
middle of
like
nowhere. Like
like
it
a
was the middle
murder
of the
house?
it was like in the middle of a swamp somewhere in like Florida.
Like I remember her being like she tracked him to his murder house and then she was gonna murder him in his murder house, but then she ended up getting stuck. So like she literally thinks I'm gonna die here. And nope.
Yeah, and he
Rowan
strolls
just
up
strolls in
and then he's all charming and she's like, I don't know who you are and I don't know why you're here because this is suspicious in general. And and then he starts saying all his like um
accomplishments,
murder
aka yeah.
murder aliases, and she's just like, no, I never heard of you. No, I don't know who you are. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go. And she's like, let me
She's like,
out.
wait, don't leave me in this fucking cage. That is a good scene. I still think the scene where tells Rowan, you ate a person, and then he throws up. And then she's like, what is he eating? Pulls the ice cream out of the guy's hand, and she's like, do I know what this is? And he's like, don't tell me. Please don't. And she starts to just read the ingredients off the fucking label. And then he throws up again. And she's like, God damn it. Now we gotta get your DNA out of the sink too. It's
I
funny. This
also
book is funny.
I also really enjoyed when they like the whole like after the third year where they're driving to like the truck stop
Yes.
where he realized she has her nipples pierced.
Oh yeah.
And then when they get to the whole interaction with the first meeting of Rose, when they show up and she like tries to hit them with the crutch, and then Rowan's like, "Why don't you fucking come over here?" And I'm like, I'll show you, I'm a liar." Like in like when she has her knife, you
It's
know,
just
remember that?
I liked I was just more intrigued by how his brother, who seems like pretty different than the other two, is with this like random circus girl. I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah, but I guess that's
I know. What's the
for
last
their
book
book.
called?
Um,
She's got to be a murderer. I hope she's a murderer.
I'm hoping that um he's the like murderer. That's okay. Angel of Death,
Do you think that's what it's going to be?
maybe.
I don't know. I'm curious. I'm more excited for
Hmm.
the last book than I am. for Leather and
Really?
Lark.
Because Leather Lark, I think, would it fits all your marriage of convenience.
It's a marriage of convenience? I didn't know that.
Marriage of convenience. You know, read the back of the book.
No, I haven't yet because I was like I just hadn't gotten around to it. Well, now I'm excited for
Marriage of
that too. I
convenience.
should read it. Should I read it before the summer is over? Is it a summer book?
Um,
Or should I
it
read it in
so
September?
I think September because I think it starts off when at well, like it doesn't exactly start off, but like the plot starts moving at Rowan and Sloane's wedding.
Okay.
So when they take her
Also,
to the spa.
this is just totally other side note of favorite part. They keep that fucking cat. I thought that was so funny.
The Peepers cat.
The
Yeah.
Peepers cat. And they just like
Well, they
keep the
couldn't just leave
cat
the cat there.
and they keep the name and everything. They just bring it home and it's just Sloane's cat.
Yeah.
And then it starts to like her. I thought that was so funny. I thought that was my that's another good part. Okay. Did I say my least favorite part yet?
Uh,
I don't think I
I
did.
don't think so.
I think my least favorite part was just not I wanted to hear more about the like Sloane's backstory. I wanted more. I wanted more about her backstory. And I think I guess like what you said is true is that like it's Lark's story to tell. But I was
Yeah.
hoping for a little bit more because you got Rowan's backstory and I just wish we had a little bit more from Sloane because I was like, I just want to know. Anyway, that's just it. Um, okay. What would you rate this book? Or what did you rate this book?
I give it a 5.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Man. Okay. I give this a 4. I don't know. Usually you're harder on the books than I am, but
Yeah.
I honestly think this was a right time thing. Like it's kind of like I just I understand this takes place in it does take place in August every year, basically. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like this was something I should have read in the winter. Murderers just feel like wintry thing for me. Like something that should be dark and creepy.
Um. Okay. Sure.
Um, okay, would you reread this? I know the answer to this
Yeah.
question.
I mean, I have.
Yeah, I'm gonna reread this in the fall and see if it changes my mind to a 5. Okay, would you recommend this
Yeah.
to everybody? I would say read the trigger warnings.
Yeah, obviously read the trigger warnings, but I have been recommending this book to everybody. I'm like, I think you guys have a good time.
The thing is that the serial killer parts aren't the parts that are gross. I guess the cannibalist thing is kind of gross. Like Rowan eating the meat by accident and then her being like, "Oh
No,
God,
that's
you ate
that's
it."
what most people's problem with it. It was just like, oh, accidental cannibalism. And then they read the part and they're like, ooh, that's a line I didn't know I had. And now that I've read it, I now know that I do have that line.
I just like picture the scene playing out of my head of her being like mouthing lobotomy, don't eat it, and he's just like looking at her like, "What are you talking about?" And as he's like literally putting it in his mouth, and she's like, "I tried to warn you, you ate it." Um, okay, yeah, I would agree. I'd recommend this to most people. I would say that it is pretty like gory though, in the sense that like not for everybody potentially. If you're
I
squeamish,
guess.
maybe, or just read the trigger warnings, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what would you say Steam was?
I
I have
say
2.5.
yeah, like a 2.5. Because once they start fucking, they're fucking. But
But there isn't actually that many sex scenes, like maybe
wait, okay,
3?
there's the one
The
at
first one.
Fion's house,
Yes.
one in his restaurant.
Yes.
I think there's a, one or two in the apartment,
There's one in the apartment, I think.
and then the end
And
as
then the
well.
end dragon scene. Yes.
No, because they have sex in their apartment, and then when they go to Tattoo permit.
Oh yeah. Okay, so maybe a three then. I don't know. This it didn't feel that spicy, but I guess it is pretty spicy. Yeah, maybe like a 3 to 3.5 then.
Yeah,
What would you say? 3 or 3.5?
I'd say three.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you would like to add about this book?
I don't think so.
Given that you raved about this book, what was your rating of Leather and Lark?
I give it four. I think depending on the day and when I think about it, it could be a 3.5 to four. It's just like the thing is, it's like if you love Butcher and Blackbird, I feel like Leather and Lark is gonna be like a little bit of like a down.
So maybe because I didn't like absolutely love Butcher and Blackbird, Leather and Lark will hit for me. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's just like I don't know. I just felt like the banter wasn't the same. I felt I don't know. It's just like how Lark was in Butcher and Blackbird just didn't match up with how Lark was in Leather and Lark.
Well, now I'm curious. I'll have to borrow your copy. Okay. What are you reading right now?
Um, I've read it's called the Dragon of New Orleans.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this.
Um, yeah.
Well,
It,
don't just say
it's
yeah, like well, what about it?
about it. It's like I wanted to read something paranormal,
Okay. I could have given you a
and
different paranormal recommendation.
I mean, I purchased it. It was free last week, and I didn't have a lot of paranormal downloaded on my Kindle, and we were camping, so I was like, "Meh, why not? I'll read it." It's like
Is it
they
a
have
vibes only
sex.
book?
They have like I mean, I guess it's very like urban fantasy, but like they have sex in it, but it's like not descriptive. Like literally, like you could skim a paragraph and they like you would skip the entire sex scene.
Oh. I feel like
There was a couple of moments that I was like, I just like skimmed the paragraph and then they were and then they're lying next to each other. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? What?
I mean some books aren't descriptive though.
They're
It's
not
like a
descriptive, I guess.
you're not here for the plot.
I mean, I was there for the plot, but like also I was hoping for some more dragon sex, my opinion.
Coming off Butchered and Blackbird and you're like, I just need a little bit of dragon sex.
I just need some dragon sex.
Also, we came off
Nothing
of
wrong with that.
Karina Hale and her mermaid sex, and you're like, let's just follow this train. And apparently it didn't
Yeah.
deliver.
I mean, I've read some books that had some dragon sex in it,
Yes.
you know, not including uh the what's it called? The Katie Roberts one. Because technically there's no other sex other than dragon sex in
Because he is
the
literally
he
just a
is a
dragon.
dragon. Where other ones he does transform.
Um, that's funny.
What are you reading?
Well, I'm reading just for the summer. I started it
I
last
feel like you never read
yesterday.
anything other than books.
I know I'm so behind because I've just been so busy, but we are doing just for the summer, the podcast, if you didn't already guess. And I am absolutely devouring it. Like I'm over halfway already. It's so funny. I ho really hope you like it, Lexi, because otherwise we might have beef.
What if I hate it?
This will be your first Abby Jimenez book, actually, and I'm kind of shocked that you haven't read it, but afterwards you're going to devour her catalog. I just know it.
Maybe. Okay.
Um, okay. Any last words you have for today's episode?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Um, as per usual, rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. It's so helpful when you do. Helps people find us. It helps us get recommended. Helps us keep doing what we're doing. If you have a book recommendation, please submit them. I think we're gonna do a month where we do all of the book recommendations we've got. So please send them our way because that will be coming up probably in the fall. And if you want to get yours in there, I would do so sooner rather than later because we'll start to go through them. Otherwise, that's all I've got. So we'll be back in your ears next week.
Bye.